Remotely Renee. We are on episode 34. We always knew we'd make it. Listen, I'm here reporting live from Vegas, post All-Star game. And the stars were out. We had WNBA players. And no, I'm not even talking about the ones playing in the game. Just other WNBA players pulled up, dressed to impress. Shouts to Diamond DeShields, Isabel Harrison, Angel McCautry, Alyssa Thomas. There was a lot of players. There was more than that. There were NBA players there. Shouts to DeMar DeRozan, Andre Drummond, UConn Husky in the building. There were celebrities, Vanessa Bryant. It had all the things that a star-studded event should have. So I was really excited to see that. It had the energy, the fan base. WNBA Twitter was in the building. Shouts to WNBA media. The Black WNBA media was there as well. And I love to see it because the culture is shifting. Team Nigeria was there. I'm just saying there was a lot going on, but it felt like one of those star-studded all-star events that we should have. So let's continue to keep that culture going. There's also a lot of talk going about mental health. Liz Cambage, had to withdraw from the Olympics. There was an altercation there with her Opals team and the Nigerian team. And speaking of the Nigerian team, Elizabeth Williams and Nneka Ogwumike got denied to play in the Olympics for the team Nigeria. So again, we're going to talk about a lot. There's a lot going on. So let me bring in my two lit crew. We got my Snooker Booker me Madre, Bert Leah Montgomery. What up, Snooker Booker?
Oh, what up, BG?
Okay.
I'm in Las Vegas enjoying the WNBA All-Star as well.
Then we got my manager, my VP, Paul Garino.
I thought we're best friends, but all right.
Oh, wow. Then we got my sister. I love my sister family in here. Come on, what up, Cole, my COO?
Hey, Remotely crew in here too.
Let's get in. So we're going to start out talking about what we just left off with. Mental health awareness is a big thing. So let me just set the table first. So Liz Cambage got into a physical altercation with a player from Team Nigeria in an exhibition game between the Australian national team and the Nigerian national team. While the Opals, which is what the Nigerian team is referred to as, while the Opals was trying to figure out how they were going to handle the altercation, there was speculation that she might not be allowed to play in the Olympics for Australia. Liz Cambage just went ahead and went off, but she stated that she didn't necessarily want to be in the bubble of the Olympic Games. So if you haven't been keeping track, in the Olympics, there's been a lot of talk because there's no fans, there's no friends allowed. We know that it's been highly documented that when the bubbles happened for the NBA and the wobble for the WNBA, it was tough on the players. Players battled bouts of depression. It's been talked about. Google it if you don't know what I'm talking about, but it is a thing. The isolation is tough. So I want to sound off and hear, what are your thoughts on the situation? Cole, get us started.
I think it is hard. As we all know, during a pandemic, it was hard enough just to be with your family in a situation for an extended period of time, but to actually have, to be alone is worse. So, I guess, even with her having an altercation, maybe it was the anxiety of what's going to be happening, and I'm going to be by myself.
That's a good point. I never thought about that. Like that, you're saying that the anxiety of going to the bubble could have possibly had her on edge.
Yeah,
Liz Cambage never ran away from an altercation, but I could see that raising her anxiety for sure.
Yeah, so I think this, a lot of times we think that two things can't be connected. Some people withdraw, some people become aggressive, some people drink, some people smoke. I think that everyone handles different situations for mental health in different ways. And we don't know what happened before. It could have been she traveled over there, she's already over there, she sees this is happening. Maybe it wasn't a good game. Maybe there was other things that was happening, but that could all be a factor in with, mental health. And she didn't want to do it.
That made me think of something, Cole. So Liz Cambage was one of the first people that I can recollect getting COVID. She talked about she was playing in China and that she thinks she had COVID before it was a known thing. So that's something, that PTSD of, she says she got sick too. She wasn't asymptomatic. She was someone that had a reaction to it. So that is something.
Yeah, she was in the hospital too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She actually had to go to the hospital for it. What do you think about it, VP?
I think we should give Cole an honorary PhD.
Okay, Cole. Wow, she broke that all the way down. Goodness.
Yeah, I can't really say anything better than that. So.
Well, I have a little bit different opinion of
Let me hear it.
not against my daughter or anything, but from what I can see, I don't know Liz personally, but from what I've observed from the outside looking in, I think she's a very strong woman. I don't think that there's too much weakness there. I think she might try to rely on weakness as an explanation for some of her actions. So I feel that this withdrawal from her native Olympian team is just getting ahead of the news about the fight. You know, she has done her own good PR work, and so before that gets all blown out of shape, she comes in and she says this to kind of defer some of the negativity that might be associated with her maybe putting hands on somebody or something like that.
But Mom, put them paws on somebody.
I'm kind of like, I get what Mom is saying, but wasn't she the one who was just recently on social media and they were talking about her height and her weight and her size as well? So she was getting
hold on, Cole. Let me set it up. So Cole is referring to Kurt Miller is the head coach of the Connecticut Sun. He made a reference to her size as to why she shouldn't be getting fouls called. And she was very offended by it, went to social media to voice her displeasure and voice how she doesn't like that type of talk. That's what kind of Cole is referring to, that incident.
Yeah. So, I mean, I get we're all, you know, and I think that sometimes that is a part of our mental health too. We are all, as far as especially Black women, supposed to be strong Black women. And we're supposed to be able to take a lot. Like we're supposed to be able to take more, I would say, than any other ethnicity of woman. The Black woman is supposed to be the one who should take more. And that's not fair. It's just not a fair assumption that just because we're strong Black women that we should be able to handle or turn the other cheek or, you know, be able to take more than anyone else. And that's just not true. Now,
you know, Snook is playing, but the devil's advocate role that Snook is playing right now is interesting because there will be people that say, well, you were already probably about to get kicked out anyway. So there is that thought that we know that
it definitely is. Yeah.
And the reason I say she's a strong Black woman, because when the incident happened with the Connecticut Sun coach, a lot of people would have kind of withdrawn a hole, not said much about it, and sulked, and really had some mental health issues behind that statement and dealing with it. Liz didn't. She came right out and said she didn't like it. She voiced her opinion, talked about it. So that's why I assume that she's a strong Black woman, because she didn't back down from it and told her side of the story. So as I said, even though I understand what you're saying, Nicole, even though, you know, she might have some things that
yeah, but she don't know what process she got to before that, because, you know, like we said, social media is a killer of confidence. So we don't know what process it got to before she actually replied. She could have cried. She could have talked to her mom. You know, even with us, we break down amongst ourselves, but we put the strong face on and we say what we got to say when it comes to the public. We don't know what process she got to get to that point. And everybody can be strong behind a keyboard. Anybody can be strong.
I love this. I love this discussion. And you know what? For a remote game show.
Again, I still think that Liz is a strong woman, and some people, this is a blessing to them to have their name in the news and to have different things being said about them. So, you know, I think Liz has played it up to the best of, you know, for her personal.
No argument there.
Okay, so I love this discussion. I love where it's going. Okay, so speaking of this mental health talk, I want to call my sister. She's she's recently married. I almost said Dr. Montgomery, but my bad, sis. She's recently married. She's a newlywed. Dr. Short. So I'm going to call my sister Nachette, because now, even with her job, she's a pharmacist, but at Kroger now, they're having to have them do mental health evaluations to make sure their employees are mentally where they need to be. Of course, you know, if you have a pharmacist and you're dealing with prescriptions and drugs, you want to make sure the people that are handling those things are fit themselves. So I'm going to call my sister and just see her thoughts on mental health and the different ways it looks. Well, after I call her for Game Show, of course. Hello, is this Dr. Nachette Short?
Yes, and I'm mad because they wouldn't let me take my drink to the pool today.
Oh my gosh. Well, Dr. Short, you are live right now on Remotely Renee. We have a segment we like to call Remote Game Show where I ask you 5 questions. If you don't know the answer to the question, you can say pass and I'll come back to it. You get a minute and a half on the clock, VP. You'll have the clock start. Are you ready? Let's go. Okay, VP, start the clock. What language has the most words?
English.
Groups of lions are known as what?
Pride.
Correct. What starts first in chess? White or black?
White.
Correct. What was the first state?
The first state, period.
Period.
Columbus, Ohio.
Incorrect. Delaware. Last question. How long does it take to hard boil an egg?
10 minutes.
Incorrect. 7 minutes. How many did she get?
You got 3 out of 5.
You got 3 out of 5, sister. I ain't mad at it. I like the enthusiasm when you got it wrong, though.
I don't eat hard-boiled eggs.
Well, your daddy does, okay? I know your daddy eats hard-boiled eggs, so you never made Diddy a daggone hard-boiled egg, Shay?
I never did. My husband eats them too. I never make his either.
Oh my goodness. So Shay, I wanted to ask you something though, because as we talked about, Kroger is now making you guys have to do mental health evaluations. So we've been talking about how mental health can look a lot of different ways. One day it could look like a clap back. The next day it could look like you crying because of something going on. So just tell me about like some of the things that they're talking to you all about when training and looking for mental health evaluations.
Well, because we're a pharmacy, so we kind of have an inkling on people who do have mental health issues because we dispense their medication. So based on certain medication profiles and things that people are experiencing, we will ask you a series of questions to try to figure out if maybe your mental health needs an extra step, you need more help with your mental health. So like you said, it comes in all shapes and sizes, and the hardest ones to spot are the people, because people hide it. So it's very hard to spot it. You might ask them the questions and they might not tell you the truth because they don't want anyone to know that they're having these issues. So it's just trying to make people feel comfortable, because most people trust their pharmacists. They trust them more than they trust their actual doctors. But maybe if we're a person that's in the community that they're more comfortable with, that they see, 2-3 times a week, sometimes, that they'll come and open up more to us. So it's basically the same type of questioning that you'll have at the physician, but maybe because I'm a different type of doctor or someone you're more comfortable with and trust, that they'll be more comfortable to open up to me.
Okay, sister, that's what I'm talking about, Dr. Montgomery. I just love when my sister talks all sophisticated and stuff, because we doctors over here, but it's true though. The more people trust you, the more they're open up, but mental health looks a lot of different ways. Thank you, Shay, for joining us on Remotely Renee. You don't win anything for joining the Remote Game Show, but we love that you played with enthusiasm.
I tried.
Love you, sis. So you don't win anything for winning a Remote Game Show, but I do want to talk about mental health. And when we talk about mental health, I think about like one of my players for the Atlanta Dream, Elizabeth Williams, who she didn't have the opportunity to play for Team Nigeria. Nneka Ogwumike was also denied by FIBA to play in this year's Olympics because I don't know the backstory of it. But when you just think about, we've talked about it before, just how much athletes put into the sport, the blood, the sweat, the tears. The Olympics only come every 4 years. So when you're denied that type of opportunity, it's not just like an oh well thing. That's a big blow.
Yeah, so I believe they denied him because they've been in the U.S. system, but I don't think they both never competed in the U.S. for the Olympics. But I found some examples. I already knew right off the top of my head, Sydney Leroux, the soccer player that's very famous. She's born in Canada and played for the Canada when she was U19, and then switched over to USA because I believe the rule is you could switch over once, but you can't ever do it again. And then so I did some more research. And I found a WNBA player that represented the USA and Russia. Do you guys want to guess who it could be?
USA.
Sue Bird.
Sue Bird.
No.
Diana Taurasi. Oh, what do you mean on a
No.
national? Well, I know they have passports. Are we talking about players
No,
that
they
have passports?
no. They represented both countries two separate times in competitions.
Oh, actually in the
That's what I'm
competitions.
saying. Like, so Sydney Leroux played for Team Canada. She was born in Canada, but then she switched to the U.S. But you only get one.
You only get one time to switch.
Okay, so you're saying that a player actually
Yes.
played for a national team of Team USA and actually played for a national team of Team Russia?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, I know who this is. Epiphany Prince. Epiphany
Nope.
Prince.
Nope. Well, I mean, I only have this one. I'll just tell you. It's Becky Hammond.
Rebecca Hammond.
She
Yep, Mom,
represented the U.S. in the Jones Cup in 1998, and she represented Russia because she played there. She must have got citizenship in Beijing in 2008 and won the bronze.
Wow.
So that's
were right.
pretty
Is
extreme.
Becky, well, is her full name Rebecca Hammond or is it just Becky?
Rebecca. Yeah.
Okay, snuck with the full government. Well, she said Rebecca Hammond. Okay, my bad.
So yeah, that's why I think in the same thing. Like, if you didn't represent USA on the highest stage, why wouldn't you be able to switch them? That's the whole point. Like, that's the whole point.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
Like,
now
if
knowing
they
that.
played on the Olympics already for USA, then that's cool that they denied them. But if they didn't, then that doesn't make sense.
I'm really curious to hear the details.
Remember that.
But they just appealed it, so we'll know by next week probably. They appealed it.
What'd you
That's
say?
why I had to bring up point guard first, because I kind of remember when that was going on. I knew it was a point guard. I just had to.
I mean, yeah, and she's not. I don't know if she's Russian descent or not, but yeah.
Interesting.
So let me ask y'all, if y'all have even heard this. So and correct me if I'm wrong, I may be completely wrong. I thought I heard something about Naomi Osaka not play for USA, but then play for Japan. So would that be the same thing? Because I don't know if she's ever played like.
Yeah, she's. I mean, I think it's kind of different because like individual and she hasn't played in the Olympics.
She hasn't played
or anything. It's different because you're in a system with the teams.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because it's also different. It's interesting though, because when you said about Sydney Leroux, who played for the U19 team, like that's what I was going to say. Almost every great player like that is really, really good, they started playing USA basketball young. Yeah. And so it's like, if that's the case, then nobody would ever switch, because you start playing 15 and under USA B, 16 and under, all the way up until when you're in the Olympic pool. So
there's definitely been a lot of men's players that do it because they play overseas and they get the citizenship. Like, I know guys that you could do that because you played there so long. And they're not going to make, they obviously have no chance to make the USA team. So why not play for another country?
Yeah, and that's what I'm gonna say. So I'm very curious as to find out, because you're right. They could, if you know you're not gonna make the USA team, but you want to play for another country where you know you're definitely gonna make it over there, they let them do it all the time. There's no question. So is it because they are the players that they are, because they are elites?
No,
because that's another question. Is it that they don't want the elite players?
Yeah, he said it might more so be a women's rather than men's.
Because they let the men's do whatever they want.
They better not say it. They better not say it out loud. They better come up with a good.
Like, that happens all the time. That's what I'm saying, because I see it all the time in the men's one. That's why I wanted to find women.
Yeah, they better have a good makeup for that, because that's terrible to say. Oh, it's because it's the women's. That's not
maybe because with Renee being involved in sports from such a young age, and me being, following a lot of stuff. From the kind of things I remember reading is that a lot of countries, you go over there and you're good or whatever, they're going to entice you. They're going to try to get you to change over and become citizenships and get that passport so you can play for them. And
look, the players are seeking out passports too, though, because when you play overseas, if you have a passport and you don't count as an American on your team, that means that they can go out and get another American and now basically have two Americans and one that's actually playing under a USA citizenship. So there's so many different things going on in the sports world. There's so many different layers, and then you see the rules that just don't change.
Yeah, but at that point, even if they're going to entice them, that's not up to the association who's saying no. They can't say no because it's a good player and they're afraid they're going to lose the player. They have to have a technical reason as to why that is not allowed. I mean, I understand, because we don't want them to leave. Of course, we don't want them to leave. They're great players. They're awesome. Right. But at the same time, you can't say, oh, because we know that if they play over here, they're not coming back. You can't do that. So it has to be something more technical as to the reasoning why.
Okay, and
the NECA one was because I think she'd been in the system for like 10 plus years. I don't know how long Elizabeth's been in the system for US.
Well, and the other thing is, I believe, I might be wrong, but I believe in foreign countries, there's money associated with that. Where here,
Oh yeah, they'll pay you to play over there.
There's
If you win,
associated.
yeah, look, I was talking to some of my Russian teammates, and if you like place in the Olympics, they'll pay for a house for you and pay your whole thing. You get paid a certain amount of money every year. You become like a legend in the country. So it's just so
Call it
different.
endorsement. Call it
Yeah.
endorsement. Because it's the same thing as if we get the Olympics and somebody goes to the Olympics over here, we give them money too. We may not give them money.
But it's different because
but not the same type of money.
No, it's different because the country actually pays them.
Country, you're like a god to them.
Like the United States of America is not paying our Olympians that type of money. We actually don't even get as far on if we're going to talk about it, the Olympic team for USA, we win $10,000 if we win gold. That's what people get for just even making the Olympics in other countries. It's not even close.
It's potato, because then we are allowing our people to get endorsement deals that are millions and millions of dollars. So I mean,
women don't get that, Nicole.
Okay,
that's
but what I'm saying is, see that, then there goes the problem. Then there's lies the problem. So don't deny the women, because what's happening is, like you said, women are getting these endorsement deals, but we're okay with the men getting them, and we're okay with the men playing on the Olympics on both sides. But we don't want the women to go to another country where the country will find the value in the woman, pay them what they probably should be paid over here, whether it's endorsement money or not. We can't say it's, we can't juggle it one way, or we have to make it even. That's all I'm saying.
I see your point. And speaking of women and different things and juggling a lot of projects. Okay, so rookies, Justin Field, who is a quarterback, and Kyle Pitts of the Atlanta Falcons, which is a tight end, both of them plan on saving their NFL paychecks and living off of their endorsement. It's not the first time that I've heard of this, but VP, break this down for us.
Yeah, for sure. So both of them got, huge deals, 32 million, Kyle Pitts, and 18 million for Justin Fields, including a $11 million signing bonus. So he got basically 20, basically the same thing, around 32 mil. And they both have crazy deals already. Pitts has Jordan Brand, Raising Cane's, Panini, and Fields has Bo's Chipotle and Wonderful Pistachios. So the other thing is, obviously, like you just said, you always hear about all this, but I think a lot of people don't know, they were only getting 17 paychecks per week. So that's why a lot of players just think they're going to get that all year and just keep on spending and spending. So the NFL just changed it to 36 weeks. So I think now players are going to be more receptive of watching their money.
Yeah. So imagine getting 17 paychecks a year. You have to make sure you're budgeting correctly. You have to make sure you're doing everything, like paying for it first so that you don't run out of money. But that's not realistic to think of young players finally coming into millions and millions of dollars. And then not everybody's making millions of dollars either. And then it just all of a sudden kind of disappears.
Well, it's just like in the real world, in education. For a long time, because education is usually a 9-month job, that you would get paid for 9 months. And then during the summer, you had no checks. And so they became smart, and it was difficult. A lot of people struggled because, when you're living on that 9 months, you usually use all of that check. And so in the summer, either you have to work or you have to go on welfare because you have no money. So education became smart. And so they stretched it out to where you had the option of the 9-month or the 12-month paycheck, so that you would spread it out instead of the 9 months, spread it out to 12. So you would have a way of living for all 12 months. Now, with them doing 36 weeks, it's still short of 52, that's how many months are in a year. So there's still a little bit of wiggle room there as far as them budgeting their money.
I'm sorry. I'm going to be the bad person in the room right now. We're not talking about education money, okay? I can understand there are people that are stretched through the summer. We're talking about these people are getting $30+ million. I don't care if that's over 3 years, 2 years, 4 years. This is ridiculous. I mean, come on now. I mean, really and honestly, I love the fact that they are being smart and they're just living off of their endorsement money, which is very, 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 very smart. That's what you should be doing. But again, I want to feel sorry for those who are spending $10 million in 17 weeks. I want to feel sorry for them within 17 checks. 17 checks, or however that comes out. I want to feel sorry for them, but I don't. $10 million to spend on 17 checks is absolutely ludicrous. And I don't care if you've never had money or had money all your life. It's almost like Brewster's Millions. How can you spend that much money? If anyone's, it's an old Richard Pryor movie where he got an unlimited amount of money. He had to spend every single dime. How do you spend that much money that fast? So I think it's great. I think that they are role models for whoever else is now broke after their 17 checks. But I really just don't feel sorry for someone who spent 10, 11 million.
So I broke it down real quick. Kyle Pitts is again $8.5 million this year. So for 17 weeks, he'd begin $485,000 per week.
Come on. Oh my gosh.
So after taxes, he'll begin like half that.
Yeah, they will take half. They will take half in taxes.
245,000. You trying to tell me 17 checks of $245,000, and you know you have 17 checks of $245,000. If they take half, wait a minute.
But then everyone comes out.
But listen. Okay, but we want to feel sorry for those who do have these checks, but then they got endorsements. So then they're spending. So how are you getting the $245,000 and you're getting your endorsement money, and then you're gonna cry broke at the end of the year? I can't do it. I'm sorry. I don't feel sorry for you because that NFL check is just one check. Some of these people have 3 and 4 endorsements, so they could be getting 3 and 4 checks. There's no reason for you to be broke after a year or looking forward to your next year to get your money.
Well, I've read a lot of stories, and it's possible because a lot of times these people put their trust in people they shouldn't. And sometimes they're spending the money is somebody else that earmarked that money and supped it up. And by the time they realize it's gone.
Well, listen, that's a good point because look, to Snook's point, when you're a professional athlete, everybody's hand is out for some money. Your agent's hand is out for money. Your manager's hand is out for money. And if you don't have a good base around you, then your family and your entourage's hands are out for money. So once you start to look at that, and a lot of times that they say that not just with just the athlete celebrities, but they say some cultures, like they can never excel and they can never build the empire that they should have built because while they're trying to build it, everyone's bringing them down because everyone's trying to grab and pull and come up with them before they even establish themselves. So, we've all seen the entourage of 20 people, everyone living off of the celebrity. It's not a secret that that's happened over time. So I have a question, Cole. Do you think that you could have 15 grown men living off of you for $245,000 and they all want to live like you? That's the problem. That's why that's where it happens. Or the lifestyle, go to the club, throw 30K.
And
we're not saying
that's the problem. That's the problem. Like I'm saying, it doesn't, if you have that type of mentality, an extra 17 checks up is not going to help you. All it's going to do is make you cry poor until the next check, because now where you was getting $245,000 over 17 checks, you're getting half of that or a quarter of that because they're stretching the checks out. Doesn't make you any more rich stretching the checks. It just makes you cry broke until the next check. Oh man, I can't do anything. I only got this amount of money to work with until my next check. It doesn't actually help the people go any further. Credit is credit, and people will get credit and extend credit they don't have. So even if you extend it to 36 checks, you still got to pay everybody you got to pay. Yeah, it's the same. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. That's how I feel.
Before we end it, that's why I think that people or sports people should talk with LeBron James, because I think he's an excellent role model of how he brought his entourage, but he didn't bring them on stuffing his money down. He brought them on, and they're acting like they should have and helping him build his empire. So when a lot of people talk about LeBron James, I have a problem with that because this young man, he's done the right thing. You don't read no negative news about him. He's actually helped his community and still playing sports to a high level. So anybody who wants these youngins that's coming up, I don't care what you're playing, football, basketball, whatever. LeBron James needs to have an educational company to show these people how to make it in the real world.
Absolutely.
I love that.
There's a lot of those.
What'd you say?
I was saying, there's a lot of things like that on YouTube and things. And
Yeah, no, you know what? We're going to actually come back to LeBron James and what his company and things that he's doing a little later. But while we're speaking about what to do with the money, here's an idea: invest in women, because we had Devereaux Peters for our happening IRL. Cole went one-on-one with her. But as we're talking about all this money flowing, I wish people would think about throwing a nugget to a production company that's trying to grow. Devereaux Productions, More Than 94 Feet Productions. Just two production companies to give you an idea of a little money from these guys that are trying to invest and do different things could go a long way. Cole talks to Devereaux all about it. Check it out.
Happening IRL this week, we have Devereaux Peters, former WNBA player, and she's going to tell us a little bit about herself.
Hi, everybody. Like Nicole said, my name is Devereaux Peters. I went to University of Notre Dame, graduated from there, got to play professionally in the WNBA and overseas for 7 years. And then I just recently retired a few years ago and started out life trying to figure out how to be an adult without basketball.
A lot of us are still trying to figure that out, believe me. You're the only one. Yes, you aren't the only one. So what made you go into basketball? When did your basketball career dreams start?
So I've played basketball since I was like 5 years old. It was just something that came naturally to me. I was a tomboy, as most of our, women athlete stories came up. And I really just wanted to be around sports. I didn't really care what it was. So I was playing in everything, but I was naturally gifted at basketball. So as I got older, it kind of started to hone in towards that. And then I got to high school and I wanted to do everything. I wanted to play basketball, I wanted to run track, and I wanted to play soccer because I was pretty good at soccer. And ironically, my dad was like, you know what, you're gonna have to pick one because I don't want you, overexerting yourself and getting injured. And if you know my career, that's laughable. So he was like, you want to pick one? So I was at the time like 6'1", coming in 6 foot, coming into high school. So I'm like, no point wasting all this height. So I chose basketball, and that's kind of the path that I just took from that point on.
It's so funny that you say that because Renee did the same thing. She actually ran track. She played soccer, I think it was her sophomore, junior year, and she played basketball. And my dad said the same thing. You're going to get hurt. You need to just do what you're going to do. So she did the same thing. I mean, she always knew basketball was it, but she just wanted to do everything like you said as well. So I understand that whole concept, just want to try it all and do it all. So I do get that. So you get through high school, you go to University of Notre Dame, and then you get through your 4 years, and then you said, okay, fine, I'm going to continue my career. And then you played for the Minnesota
Lynx. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I actually had 5 because, of course, like I said, irony, I was injured. So I got a 5th year. So after the 5th year, it was like growing up as a kid, it was a dream. And then as I kind of got to college and battled with injuries, because I tore my ACL twice, I kind of went back and forth about whether I wanted to keep playing, because it's a lot to go through that injury. So I went back to back, like literally I tore it in, I think, February of my freshman year. Okay. And then grinded it out, went through therapy, got back, and then tore it again in October of my sophomore year. So like right after as I got back, tore it again. And I had this like reckoning, like, do I really want to keep doing this? Like, is this really what I want to play? Because I'm really about to do this all over again. Just spent all this time, rehabbing and doing this to get back, and now I got to do it again. And so after that, going through college, it's a lot. It's a lot as a college athlete, juggling school and playing and all your workouts and academics and everything else. It can be, a bit overwhelming. And so, you just kind of get caught up in the moment and going through. So, by the time I kind of got towards the end of my college career and into my 5th year, I was back and forth on whatever I wanted to continue playing. And then as I got to towards the end, when I was about to leave, I had a streak where I had some really, really, really good games towards the end of the season going into the tournament, and started hearing my name brought up a lot more and talking about being drafted and stuff. And so they kind of brought that back for me. Because it wasn't something I was fully thinking about. I was focused on like playing and wanting to win a championship in college, and like that was my goal. So I was so focused on that. You know, you get caught up. You like, I don't worry about that right now. I'm trying to win right now.
Right, exactly.
So then by the time that that kind of ended, and there was a lot of talk about me being drafted and certain teams being interested, and I was like, okay, if that's something that happens, then cool. And ended up getting invited to the draft and kind of went from there. So it's definitely a blessing. Something that I always wanted to do as a kid and kind of fought through as I got older, but it's definitely a major blessing to be able to have that opportunity to play pro.
Yeah. And then you played overseas. So where did you play overseas at? I know,
man, I played everywhere.
Multiple places. Yeah. So, give us
Yeah.
a couple of places. Give us your top places you played.
That's probably my favorite places that I played. I played in Slovakia, which sounds weird, but like I enjoyed like the team there. So that like made it a lot better. And then we were like 3 hours from Budapest, Hungary, which is like one of my favorite cities ever. So that made it really enjoyable. And then, who else did I played in France one year, which was, it was good. I really enjoyed it there. But I've literally played everywhere. I played in Italy. I went to Russia, had a very short stint in South Korea, played Hungary, Spain. Yeah, I was all over the place.
You and Renee have a lot of those places. I know Renee's been as well. She's played as well. So yeah, I'm not sure what Renee's top one was, but that Budapest that's different. So yeah. I know it's beautiful over there. It's gorgeous over there. So then you say, okay, I'm kind of going to move away from basketball, and then you start your own production company. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so that kind of came out of nowhere. I was a film and television major, so that's what my degree was in, and that's what I enjoyed doing. But I didn't really think it would get to that point. I ended up tweeting about. It started because I was in Seattle, like shooting some content that I wanted to do for my YouTube channel, and the usual. I'm walking down the street. This guy stops me because I'm tall. Wants to know if I play basketball. We have that whole conversation. He says he could beat me one-on-one. Okay, great. The usual stuff.
Challenge.
Exactly. And so I ended up making a Twitter thread about why women do not care about playing men one-on-one. And it went viral. So like, not even thinking about it, like I just tweeted, because if you know me and know my Twitter, it's a lot of foolishness. I just tweet craziness and go about my business. And so I tweeted it, hopped in the shower and was going about my day. And I got out the shower and I checked my phone, and my phone is blowing up, like going crazy. And I'm looking, it's all these people responding. And then after a couple hours, it just like completely blew up. And then a couple of days later, I actually got somebody from the Washington Post reached out to me and wanted to do an op-ed about the Twitter thread. So I'm like, okay. Ended up doing the op-ed and about men challenging women to one-on-one. And really the premise was just in general, like how men have this weird like confidence that regardless of who you are, what you do, you can beat a woman, even if she's at like the top of her game or like, right. whatever field, right? So that comes out and I just get all these responses from women talking about how they had that experience and like across the fields. I have a cousin that was a writer for Lucasfilms, and she's written on Star Wars. And she reached out to me and told me that she would tell men that, and they would start quizzing her about Star Wars and like asking her these questions as if she didn't write for it. Like, and I'm like, that's absurd. So I'm like listening to all these women respond, and like in the engineering field and literally any field you could think of, these women are like relating to this story of just me telling my truth about basketball. And after that, I was kind of like, man, we're really missing an opportunity here, because like just from me being able to talk about my experience playing basketball, all these women were able to connect and relate to something that happened to me because they understand, because they're going through the same lived experience or living a similar experience. And I was like, we're really missing out on an opportunity, because we're a lot better now, but at the time we weren't really pushing women's players and telling their stories in the way that we are starting to now. So I was like, we're missing out on that. There's so many women that are so dynamic, and especially with WNBA players, because we not only have to like graduate from college typically to like play in the league, but we also have to play overseas. Super cultured, super smart. The WNBA typically isn't our main source of income. So all these players have businesses. There's just all these ways to connect, and like nobody hears about it. And so I'm like, we have to start telling these stories. And I'm definitely one of those people that's just like, if you don't see it being done well, then just do it yourself. So that's kind of how the company was born and how we started like moving forward with that.
All right. So what is the name of your company?
So it's Devereaux Productions, but the platform that I'm building is called More Than 94. Just the idea that you can be, you know, that whole push of more than an athlete, we do more than what we do on the court. And want to highlight those aspects of players and their journeys.
Okay, so with the production company, do you have anything that you're like working on? Do you have a space where you want people to come and see, you know, exactly what you're building, or any concept, or is it like right now you're in the working process and you have your Twitter, and like, how can we find you out there in this space?
So I have a YouTube channel. It's on More Than 94. You can go on YouTube and check out the content we have done. We are kind of in the phase right now where we're building and really trying to raise funding so that we can start really making that push to like not have to like really fight and grind out each project that we do. Trying to get a little bit more investment so that we can really start like pushing stuff out more. But we are working on a few projects that we're trying to get out within the next couple of months. So like slowly but surely putting some content out, but also really trying to push for this funding right now. So that's why it's not a whole lot going on right now, just because we're trying to push for that, but we're getting there.
See, this is what it's all about. It's about interviewing, finding out what you're doing, putting it out there. So there are people who are looking to invest in companies like yours that love the idea, love the concept. So we want to be able to follow you. So you do have this platform. We're going to go on this, people can go on this platform, support women. Remember, that's our whole thing, women supporting women. So,
exactly.
Yeah. So we definitely like to put it out there whenever we can actually promote something that actually Renee is very passionate about, being more than an athlete. Everything that you said, I don't know how many times we've been on vacation, you know, and we walking around, and I'm the tallest in my family. Spoiler alert, Renee is the shortest. Well, not actually shortest, but close to the shortest. So people are like, you play basketball? I'm like, no, she plays basketball. They're like, really? I bet you I can. I don't even know who she is, but they just know because I'm tall. They asked me first. So I have the same, I understand the same situation. I'm like, no, I don't play basketball, but my sister does. And they look at her, they're like, oh, I can beat her. And it's automatically, you go like, you don't even know who she is. Like, how do you think you beat her? So I do understand, you know, that whole feeling. When you were talking about, I was like, yeah, that's every time I go somewhere. And so, you know, so with your more than 94, it's more than 94, more than 94. So we can expect to see you executive producing in the future, correct? We're going to see your name.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. You're definitely going to see that name up there. I'm definitely a behind the scenes person. I don't hate being on the camera. I don't love it though. And if I can choose, I prefer not to be. So like, I'm definitely the name you're gonna see rolling on the credits.
There you go. Hey, I love to see. I go through the credits. I'm like, oh, I know that person. I know that person. I love it. I love it. So I can't wait till we can see it. And like she said, you can go More Than 94. She has a YouTube channel. If you want to have invest in a great company, go ahead, check her out, see what she has coming up. And we don't have anything else today. So we're going to say thank you for coming on with Remotely Renee, and check us out next time.
Thank you for having me. This was fun.
Okay, so as you can see, shouts to Devereaux Peters, man, my former teammate, former WNBA player, doing things. And speaking of production companies, VP, let's talk about it. Spring Hill is selling, and there's some interesting interest of people wanting to buy. Tell me all about it, VP.
Yeah, well, they're not selling just yet. They're exploring the sale. and
Okay,
Nike
get me
is
together. There's the fact check. They're exploring the sell.
exploring because it said they reached a valuation of $75 million, and it says Nike is considering making an offer, which is pretty interesting. But I think we're kind of seeing these companies that are not, I guess, media companies trying to get into media. So that's just like interesting. And as we know, like they have Uninterrupted, the shop, and now obviously Space Jam.
Yeah, so this is very interesting to me because I mean, Spring Hill, as we know, a powerhouse. That's all, like that's all you could talk about it. The stuff they put out, super high quality, very high profile. You know, they had the best of the best of the best. When you're dealing with LeBron and your LeBron's company, we would expect nothing less. But what's interesting to me is Nike wanting to come in and buy, you know, you can see now just the shift in the cultures, even Bally Sports Southeast that now came in and bought Fox Sports Southeast. That's, you know, that's a casino based company that's expanding into the betting and the sports world, that now they just want to get in the media as well. So, you know, the landscape is shifting. All things lead to digital media. All things lead to media. It doesn't matter what brand your company is. If you're selling socks, you better be in some type of media, basically, is what it seems.
Let's not forget about DraftKings with the Dan Le Batard network.
Shouts to DraftKings that dropped the big bag. They brought out the Brinks truck, backed it up, went and got another truck, backed it up. Dan Le Batard and crew, my goodness, Meadowlark. And you know what? You just talking to a lot of different professionals in the industry. Everyone's talking about Meadowlark, about what they're doing, what they're building, where it's going to. So it's interesting to see just how media is shifting around, guys.
We got to get some fake money so you could throw it in there.
Ooh, yeah. Listen, I'll take some real money if y'all want to give it to the DraftKings. If you want to drop a bag at each one of our locations, my location, and all of the Two Lit Luke Cruz location, we will make it rain right here. Just saying, and I'll pick it up at the end of the show. Put it in my
You should invite Floyd Merriweather to your studio, and I'm sure he would bring some stacks of cash and throw them up for you just for the publicity.
Floyd Mayweather, yes, we should. Now he's one that makes it rain. Speaking of having a lot of money, the big entourage, the glitz and glam, I don't think anyone does it more than boxers. I mean, boxers live this very lavish lifestyle, 24 karat gold tullets, shouts to Mike Tyson. I mean, they lived a life. But back to the media, it's interesting because imagine the media age when that was a time. Like, imagine if it was like this on social media. I mean, even now, Floyd Mayweather, he flashes, he does his thing. But imagine Mike Tyson at the height of his career, Muhammad Ali at the height of their career when Instagram, TikTok was a thing, Twitter. Oh my gosh.
And see, what I feel like everybody is becoming a Walmart. It's now all these companies want to be like a Walmart setup where, yeah, we were known for being a clothing company and we're, you know, a cultural clothing company like Nike, but now we want media. So we want to touch this and we want to touch that. And we want to touch, now we want to own a team. So now we want to be part owners in teams. So I think that it's going to be like, everybody wants to be Walmart. Everybody wants to touch everything. Everybody wants to touch betting, women's sports, men's sports, clothing, media. So it's like a one-stop shop. It's like once you can do it, you can do all of your own stuff. You don't have to go out to this people for media, go out to this people to do that. You know, you can be your own everything, conglomerate, basically.
I wouldn't be surprised if Walmart got into media.
Free marketing. It will be free marketing.
I was going to say, speaking of being your own conglomerate, we talked about LeBron James earlier. Look what he did with Space Jam. Spring Hill was a part of the production company. He's acting and starring in it. It's a code for the culture. They had the red carpet and you saw the stars were out there. It mixed the celebs, all of that together. I mean, talk about a one-stop shop like Walmart. LeBron James is his own universe in that aspect.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, Warner Brothers, I believe, they have the license for Space Jam, and you know they made all the deals. There's like 5 shoe designs, 15 apparel deals. They're in Fortnite. They got an Xbox controller. They got the McDonald's Happy Meals, of course. They got the Amazon boxes.
They have Candy Crush. I was minding my business.
Candy Crush.
Candy Crush. I saw it.
They're on. Yeah. They got a Kraft macaroni and cheese hoodie with like the, you know, like the Kraft It looks like, actually, maybe it's a onesie. I don't know. It kind of looks like a onesie. That would make more sense. And it has like the little Kraft macaroni and cheese, like little Bugs Bunnies and stuff like that. We'll have to show you on there. So yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Like I said, they touching everything because Vance is walking around with a Space Jam backpack. Has he even seen Space
wow.
Jam? Never even seen it. Not yet, I should say. He's about
Not
to
the
go
original one?
Well, he saw the original one, but he hasn't seen the new one. And the backpack he has is for the new Space Jam, not the old Space Jam. So it don't even have Michael Jordan on there. It has LeBron James on there. So what I'm saying is that they're making money even if people haven't seen it. Everybody knows who Space Jam is. Everybody knows.
We were in New York for the humanitarian of shouts to the Atlanta Dream. I mean, come on, let's talk about it. Shouts to Atlanta Dream 2020 for standing 10 toes down. You know, a lot of times when you make a bold step like that, you don't really think about getting awards for it. You're more so worried about your job, what's going to happen to you. Is this okay? You know, are you doing the right thing? So for all of those fears to not consume the players of the Dream 2020 team and for them to stand boldly, shouts to the squad for the Humanitarian of the Year award. I mean, that ESPN award, by the way, very deserving. And also the Atlanta Dream gave $100,000 donation to the New Georgia Project. So just excited for the direction that everything is going. And I love that the players got to see some positive reinforcement for their actions. So back to your regularly scheduled program. Yes. When we were in New York, we were riding in the bus to the hotel. All of a sudden I see a whole bus wrapped in everything Space Jam go by, like just all over everything.
Yeah. And they have a game too. Cause I remember Vance was trying to download a Space Jam game. And I was like, they have a game already? Like it's already like a little like app, like you could download and play as some type of Space Jam thing. So what I'm saying is that they figured it all out. It's everywhere.
So by the way, they did deals with over 200 brands for Space Jam. And so the first Space Jam, okay, so it brought in an estimated total of $6 billion in revenue, $1 billion in merch, and then 230 million in like box offices. So, but like with like Corona and everything, like, do you guys think it will beat it out, or like no? Or in regular times, you think it would have beat it out?
I think it would have beat it out in regular time because it's LeBron James. I personally think that, or it would have closely tied. That's my thought process. What do you think, Renee?
I'm like, I have a different question. I wonder how much marketing money was spent for the first Space Jam as opposed to the second Space Jam, because I'm somebody that thinks about marketing. So the more marketing, the more money. So I would like to know the numbers for marketing first to know.
I saw some good points though, where it was like 25 years ago, like cartoons were way more relevant. Like it's not.
Yes.
Okay. Animation is not as high as it was.
And especially like the Looney Tunes. Like, I don't know, like, do little kids know who the Looney Tunes are?
Vance does.
Okay, there you go. And how old is Vance, Cole?
Vance is 8. And let me tell you, he knows about Looney Tunes because they're still on TV. They don't look the same. They don't act the same. But they're still on TV.
Well,
they don't have the same subject matter.
No, they don't. It's different. It's different. It's different.
I used to be an Animaniacs fan anyway, so that was my point. But long story short, I just know that this new Space Jam, they have the star power in LeBron James, but boy, did they put the marketing money behind it. You can't turn a corner without seeing something Space Jam right now. So good on them. Great for them. We love to see it. I'll be going to go see Space Jam with the fam bam. So we'll have to have a Space Jam review next episode.
No, but Paul,
you can watch it. You can watch it on HBO Max. You can buy it on.
Yeah. So, but Paul, but did they beat it out?
We don't know yet. It just came out.
Oh, I thought there was
we're setting it up.
Okay, I thought there was already some numbers out.
No, I think they will beat it out, but like
sometimes they'll say it's already at this amount and it's only been out this time.
Well, I don't know how that goes. I don't know how it's going to go with the HBO Max numbers and all that. So, and like Renee said, first of all, they definitely spent way more money on production, and they definitely spent way more money on marketing. So
those things matter to me.
Yeah, they're going to have to make they're probably going to have to make $1 billion probably just to like probably
recoup their money. Yeah.
That's
It's
true.
interesting.
But with the 200
but see-
brand deals, they had to make a lot of money too. So I don't know what
I'm
they're
going to say they made their money back in their brands because I mean,
I saw local, like, so the way that they did it too, they did their big national spots, and I'm gonna wrap it here because they're so fascinating. Obviously, clearly we're into marketing, we're into sports and Space Jam and all this culture, pop culture stuff, but they also did something really smart. I saw them on big platforms, but I also saw people like the AEBL in Atlanta. They were doing promotion for Space Jam. I saw Sue Tai, who is a amazing artist. She did a line with Looney Tunes and Space Jam. So we're watching. I always watch and study because they clearly know how to roll things out. And speaking of rolling things out, my Snooka Booka is going to roll out what happened on All-Star with us. Snook, talk about it.
Okay. For Roots this week, since I am out here in Sin City, the City of Lights, Las Vegas, for the WNBA All-Star game, which was fantastic. I'm going to show you some things that I was able to witness for this game. And I'm going to let you in on the biggest surprise of the game for me.
Today, Remote Roots is an advertisement. Yes, I said advertisement. It's an advertisement for women's basketball. This advertisement features the WNBA All-Star game that was held in Las Vegas, Nevada on July the 14th. It was a great event, and the stadium was full of people and fans excited to see the WNBA All-Stars versus the USA Women's Olympic team. Now, the best part of this advertisement is that both teams were comprised of the best of the best of the WNBA. It was a star-studded game, and the stakes were very, very high. The USA team wanted to show their prowess and domination for the competition in the upcoming Olympics in Tokyo. The WNBA All-Stars wanted to show that they could compete at the same high level that the USA Olympic team could. It was a back-and-forth game, and at halftime, we were treated to a three-point competition. The final two contestants in the three-point contest were Allie Quigley and Jonquil Jones. Allie Quigley won for the third straight time. Boy, is she an awesome shooter. It was a tight game, and the fans were in it all the way down to the last of the fourth quarter. It went back and forth, until finally the WNBA All-Stars pulled ahead. Naturally, I was so proud of the Atlanta Dream's Courtney Williams. Courtney, Atlanta's number 10, made some great plays down the stretch. And ultimately, the WNBA All-Stars beat the USA Olympic team. It just goes to show you how talented all of the players from both teams were in that game. Arike Ugambwali was crowned as the most valuable player of the All-Star game. She is a guard for the Dallas Wings, and her play was outstanding. Now, this isn't the first WNBA All-Star game that I've attended. When Renee graduated from UConn in 2009, she actually played on the USA Olympic team that went against the WNBA All-Stars at the Mohegan Sun in Connecticut. So, to wrap up my advertisement, I'd like to say or encourage you to watch the WNBA. It is the best women's basketball play in the world. I was also blessed to be able to attend the WNBA All-Star game in San Antonio, Texas that Renee played in. WNBA games are some of the best live entertainment out there, and I would encourage anyone who has an opportunity to attend one to do it. Just do it. So let's also support the USA women's basketball team as they compete in the Olympics in Tokyo. I know they're going to bring home the gold. The great basketball play at the WNBA All-Star game was exciting. The three-point shooting contest at halftime was exciting. But the most exciting part of the game was when I turned and saw my daughter and her husband entering the arena. Now, my daughter lives approximately 5 minutes away from me in St. Albans, West Virginia, and she never mentioned that she was even coming to Las Vegas to the All-Star game. My girls are always trying to surprise us, and this was one they really got over on us because we did not expect this. I had even called my daughter and talked to her, and she didn't tell me that she was on the way to the airport when I spoke with her. I'm sure you can imagine the look of shock on my face when I turned around and saw her. So there you have it, an awesome, outstanding WNBA All-Star game, and me getting pranked at the same event. What more could you ask for?
Yes, Snooka Booka, we all start peaking. All-Star weekend. I had a blast in Vegas. I love the direction the WNBA is going. I love the direction that Remotely Renee is going. My 2 Lit crew. That's all for me and my 2 Lit crew. See y'all next week.